you almost came in bed with your fist.
It's not me, sir.
And you wake up every morning, the bed will be so rough, like you'll be fighting kung fu in your dream. That's the reason why you have F's in your courses, like
But
especially made for you.
I have last semester.
We eat by pounds on you. Very stupid. Oh, yeah, change that section to CCTV right now. And oh God, the baby to have the first born. Stupid boy.
All right. Good day, viewers at home. My students, I want to welcome you to this teaching of music 111, which is theory of music. And I want to appreciate the school for giving this opportunity to reach you at home. I hope you are enjoying your holiday. And in order to have better music understanding at home, so we are going to have this class on theory of music. And when you are talking about theory of music, we have different understanding about what is the meaning of music. To some people, they believe music is dancing. To some people, they believe music is singing. So, but you have your various kind of definition of what music is. But I want to give you my own definition of music. So if you know what people are saying beside you about what is the meaning of music, that one can influence you in saying some other things that you might not want to say. But if you listen to this definition, you will understand the reason why I'm giving you this definition of music. Because when it comes to theory of music talks about everything about music. History in music is having a link with the theory of music. African music is having link with theory of music and other subjects, other courses too. So they are in one way or the other linked to what we call theory of music. Then, if you are talking about the definition of music, if you are to sing, there is going to be a particular time you are going to have a rest. So, and that is why in divining music, you have to combine it with both sound and rest. So, music is the combination of sound and rest in an agreeable manner that is pleasant to the ear. Music is the combination of sound and silence in an agreeable manner that is pleasant to the ear. Now, when you are talking about theory of music, this is the language of music. Anybody who wants to understand anything in music, we have to deal with this theory of music in order to understand the language very well. Even if the composer of a particular music is not in your vicinity, you can pick up his music with your understanding of theory of music and sing it accurately. And that is why we have to understand some of the items which I'm going to mention here. So this is the beginning, this is the background for the teaching of music. I'm going to start with music alphabet. You know, when you are talking about English alphabet, you have various number of alphabets you have in English. You have up to 26. But music is going to make use of only 7 out of these, out of the alphabets we have in English. So, and that is, you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So, when it comes to the identification of music alphabet, you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and after on getting to G, you will have to go back to the beginning again. That means A will keep on reoccurring immediately after G, After G, A will keep on reoccurring again. So, and you continue on and on like that. So that is the music alphabet you are talking. When you look at your screen, you will see what is written there when it comes to identifying each of these alphabets. You can see the one that is written below, which is after the first one, which is A. You can see the first one here is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And likewise, you have the second one after this one, which is written where you have A reoccurring again after G. All right. So now you have the second one written down here. You have your A, B, C, D, E, F, G. After that, you still have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And that is how you have it on the next item, which I'm going to talk about. The next item is the stave. All right. When you look down, you can see the stave there. The stave comprises of 5 lines and 4 spaces. 5 lines and 4 spaces. So when you can even make use of your finger to represent this stave that we are talking about. So when you have your 5 lines, your 5 fingers can represent the 5 lines of the stave, which is from the bottom, you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Likewise, the spaces you have in between your fingers could represent the 4 spaces of the stave, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let us go back to your stave. When you look at the stave, you can see it has been numbered there. The lines, number of lines, and the number of spaces there. It is on this stave that you have the language of music being written. You have your language of music being written on the stave, and anyone who wants to interpret music language, we have to interpret it directly on the stave. If you see people singing or in a choir, it is this music that they are trying to interpret. When you sing, you read directly what is written on the stave. So, and I'm going to move to the next point. The next point is the discussion about the clef. You can see that which was given to you the other time, which is the stave. The stave, if you have nothing written at the beginning of the stave, that stave is having no meaning. It's only just 5 lines and 4 spaces. But immediately you have clef written on the stave, and we have different types of clef. Clef is a symbol placed at the beginning of a stave, which gives name to the stave. So if you have clef at the beginning of the stave, you can be able to give that particular stave a name. And you can see the first clef written here is known as treble clef. That first symbol is the treble clef. So that means if you put a treble clef on the stave, so that treble clef will change the name of the stave to a treble stave. Treble stave. So the second one, which is below, the second symbol is known as bass clef. The one that looks like a question mark. That one is the bass clef. The first one is the treble clef. Likewise, you have the next one there known as C clef. C clef, you can see that it is, they were written one up, the other one down. So the first one is known as the tenor clef, while the second one is known as the alto clef. They are called, you can see the two symbols are the same thing, but it is only the placement on the staff that differs. That is the reason why you have to call the other one tenor clef, you call the second one alto clef. So now I want to give you analysis of each of these symbols. The first one, which is the treble clef, if you put it on the staff, you know, I told you, you are going to change your staff to treble staff. If the first, you have your treble clef written on the staff, and you are changing your staff to a treble staff. So this will now give the identification of lines and spaces on the staff another different meaning. So the first line of the staff, the second line, the third line, the fourth line, and the fifth line will give you different meaning. And you can now start making use of the alphabet that was introduced to you at the beginning. You start making use of them one after the other. You can see what is written on the screen, that the first line here is E. The first line is E. The second line is G. The third line is B. The fourth line is D. While the fifth line is F. And this is the identification of lines on the treble stave. On the treble stave. So, which is different from another stave. And if you are talking about the spaces, there is a way you can identify each of these lines. You can give them formula. There is the use of formula in music. So, if you want to put these alphabets in form of formula, you can have the first one, which is Z, you can give it every. The second one, which is G, good. The third one, which is B, boy. The fourth one, drink. Why the fifth one is, you can also call it Fanta. If it is drink, you use Fanta. But if it is deserve, you use for the first line, which is D. You can put the last line to be favor. So let me give you the two all together. The first line is, every good boy drinks Fanta. So you can use that to identify your lines on the treble stave. So, and you can also put it, every good boy deserve favor. So if the moment you remember this, this will give you a clue onto how to identify your lines on the treble stave. And the second one, which is the spaces, you can see the spelling there is giving you spelling of face. That is referring to your face. So, which is F, A, C, and E. So, if you forget, any aspect of this identification of lines and spaces, you can quickly refer to the formula. The formula of the lines, the formula for the spaces, which is a face. The formula for the lines is what? Every good boy deserves favor. And that is the identification of lines for the treble spaces, lines and spaces. Then the identification of lines for the bass stave. Bass stave, you can see that identification of lines there is different from that of the treble stave. So the first line on a bass stave is G. The second one is D. The third line is D. The fourth line is F, and the last line is A. The first line G. The second line B. The third line D. The fourth line F, and the last line A. So you can also give formula for this, which is called good boy deserve favor always. Good boy deserves favor always. So that is the identification of lines on the bass stave. So, And the spaces for the bass stave gives you A, C, E, and G. A, C, E, and G, which is known as all, the formula for this is all cow eat grasses. All cow eat grasses. So the reason why I'm giving you this formula, I've told you right from the beginning that it helps you to identify the lines and spaces, even if you have forgotten about what is the fifth line, what is the second line, what is the third line. You can quickly refer to this formula and it will remind you of how to identify each of the lines and the spaces on both the treble and the bass stave. So I'm referring to this treble and bass stave because they are the two commonly used clef in music. When you have your choir either in the church or your choir in the town, so this clef that I've given you, or the two clefs that I've given you, are the two commonly used clefs. So by the general choir we have either in the church or outside. So when you are having your treble stave, and it is on the treble stave, which is the 5 lines and the 4 spaces which I've introduced to you. So it is on that treble stave that the treble part, which you can also call the soprano part. The soprano part and also the alto part is being written on the treble stave. So anybody who is singing soprano can easily sing his part on the treble stave. Likewise, anybody who is singing alto can easily sing his part on the treble stave. So it is not possible you have a bass singer having his part written on the treble stave. This is not an ideal thing. So, but now if you have what we call a closed score, the treble stave will have to be at the top, while the bass stave will be at the bottom, just as you have it on your screen. So you have the treble stave at the top, and you have the bass stave at the bottom. So those who are singing soprano will read their part on the treble stave, and likewise alto. But those who are singing tenor and bass, they will read their part on the bass stave. So that means bass stave is being given to the tenor and bass singer, while the treble stave is given to the soprano and alto singers. So with this analysis, I will now try to give you few exercises that you can work upon. So when it comes to the identification of lines and spaces on the staff. Now, you can take your book and look at the 4th line of the treble stave. If it is given to you on the screen, so you can easily pick the answer. That if I ask you that what is the 4th line of the treble stave, even if you don't look at your screen, what is the 4th line of the treble stave? You can easily go to the formula given to you. What is the formula for the lines of the treble stave? The formula is every good boy deserve favor. So every good boy deserve. So since I'm asking for the 4th line, so you know that deserve is the 4th word. So you can easily pick D for the 4th line of the treble stave. So if I ask you that what is the 2nd line of the treble stave, since you don't have anything to work upon, you can easily go to the formula and say every good. So you start, since I'm asking for the 2nd line. So every good. So that means the 2nd line of the treble stave is what? Is G. So now if I ask you what is the 4th space of the treble stave, What is the fourth space of the treble stave? So the fourth space of the treble stave, you know the space is spells what? That is face. So you can easily say F, A, C, E. So that fourth space is what? Is E, which is the last space. So, but you have to start reading either your spaces or your lines. You start from the bottom. You start reading it from the bottom. The bottom line is the first line. The second line, so the second line, just as you have it. And the third line is the third line. So the fourth line is the fourth one. Why the fifth line is the fifth? So you don't start counting your lines from the top. You can see the labeling there. You don't start counting your line from the top. So you can see 5 is written on the fifth line there. So that means the upper line is the fifth line, not the bottom line. So don't make that mistake by giving the bottom line the fifth one. You can start counting from the top, saying that the fifth line, which is the upper line, is number 1. So why the next one is number 2? So don't do it that way, but you have to start counting from the bottom. And that is the way you read your music too. When you are reading your music, you read from the bottom line to the upper line. So you read it from the bottom to the top, and it will give you the accurate calculation of the note which you want to produce. Why I will have to talk about the alto clef and the tenor clef, which I've given to you before. The treble clef, the bass clef, the alto clef, and the tenor clef. You know, I told you that both the tenor clef and the alto clef, both of them use the same clef. They use the same clef, which is C clef. You can see that C clef is in form of 3. It's like a figure 3. So the middle, it is the middle of that symbol that indicates the placement of the clef. When you check very well the clef on the staff, as it is written, you can see the third placement there, where you have 2 symbols. So you can see that the 2 symbols are the same thing. But the first one you have there is what? The first one is tenor clef. Why the second one is what? Is alto clef. So you can see the right top at the bottom gives you that the alto clef and sorry, I'm coming. Alto and tenor clef are both called C clef. Alto clef is attached to the third line of the staff, while the tenor clef is attached to the fourth line of the staff. Therefore, the third line of the alto staff means C, as the fourth line of the tenor staff also means C. So that means the way you are going to write notes on the alto clef is also different from the way you are going to write it on the tenor clef. So you can see that the middle of that symbol, the symbol, which is C clef, so the middle of that symbol for alto clef is attached to the third line of the staff. So that means the third line of the staff is known as C. The third line of the staff is known as C. So likewise, the fourth line of the staff is known as C for the tenor clef. If you put a tenor clef which is attached, the middle of that symbol is attached to the fourth line. So that symbol is giving you C on the fourth line of the staff. So if you want to identify your lines and spaces there, that is, you want to make use of your alphabet. So if you want to locate any of these lines, you have to quickly go to the third line of the staff if it is on the alto clef, and you have to go to the fourth line of the staff if it is the tenor clef to locate your C, and from that C you can locate the rest of the symbols so that we are dealing with. Now I want to tell you the reason why we have alto clef, bass clef and treble clef as the commonly used one. We have what we call closed score and open score. Closed score in music is majorly used by various choirs that we have in the town. So the closed score that we are talking about is involving only the treble clef and the bass clef. The treble clef, like I told you, is at the top. The bass clef is at the bottom. So, and that is why you are going to place your tenor, your soprano, your alto part. So, but for the bass clef, you place your tenor and the bass part. But if you have that of the open score, that means you are going to have different staff for each of the parts. You have for soprano different staff. You have for alto different staff. You have for tenor different staff, and likewise for the bass. So it is then you are going to make use of these various kind of clefs that I've given to you. You know, I've given you the treble clef, the alto clef, the tenor clef, and the bass clef. So that means the sopranos singers are going to make use of the treble clef. The alto singers are going to make use of the alto clef, while the tenor singers are going to make use of the tenor clef. Likewise, the bass singers will make use of the bass clef, just as you have it on this. But in most cases, it is the orchestra that usually make use of the open score, where you will have different kind of musical instruments coming in to play their own part. So then they usually make use of these various kind of clefs that we have given unto you, or that I have given unto you, or that is listed on your board. But when it comes to choir singing, so we usually make use of only the treble and the bass clef. So, and if you are to identify this, you have some other things, some other symbols that are to be added to the staff, so that you will be able to read and sing in sofa. Singing in sofa is talking about singing your do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So that is singing in sofa. So you can only interpret this when you learn how to read or to identify each of the lines and spaces you have on each of your treble and bass stave. So because we need to understand each of these items line by line or beat by beat, that is why I'm going to stop here, so that for another class we are going to continue from where I'm stopping today. So that is I've given you some items. I'm going to mention them one after the other. So the first item I gave to you here, I talked about the definition of music. And I know you have your personal definition of what we mean, what music means. So, but I've given you my own personal definition of music, which is the combination of both sound and silence. So, you know, somebody who is singing, we must have time to rest. You cannot just continue singing all the time. You cannot continue singing all the time. And that is why when you sing, you must have time to rest. So that is why music is the combination of both sound and rest. So for example, let me demonstrate this. If I'm singing, Emi yóò gbé Olúwa ga, Emi yóò gbé Ọlọ́run ga, níwọ̀n ìgbà tí mo bá wà láyé, Emi yóò gbé Jésù mi ga. I'm sorry for singing a religious song. So I've given you this song to describe what I mean by sound and silence. When you sing, you have to rest. If you have to sing all through, that means that person is about to break down. So if you don't have time for rest, and you must learn how to combine this sound and rest together in order to have your sweet music. and people listening to you will be able to enjoy your music the better. So, and that is why you have to define music as combination of sound and silence. So then I've given you different Stave, which is the platform on which you can write your musical language. Stave is the platform where you can have your musical language being written. And when you have your Stave, without writing anything on the Stave, Stave does not have any meaning, except you give that Stave a particular clef. And that is why I'm saying that the different types of clef given to you, we give you a definition for each of this of the Stave given to you. If you have a treble written on a Stave, you give that Stave treble Stave. If you have alto, you give it alto Stave. If you have tenor, you give it tenor Stave. If you have bass, you give it bass Stave. Likewise, we moved to the aspect of the identification of lines and spaces, and that is where you have your definition. I've given you the definition, the formula for the treble stave and the formula for the bass stave. The formula. So thank you very much for listening to this teaching. So we continue from here another time.
Finish him. Kill the guy now. You have the compound. Hit him.
What? What is this?
Good day, sir.
You are watching Jackie Pan in my house.
No, it's King Kong, sir.
King Kong. You've never heard of ACTV before in your life? ACTV is very educative, informative, and there are football sport there. There is entertainment. There are a lot of things you can even attend lectures here. All you know is watch all those nonsense artists and do nonsense, or you watch nonsense on TV. Last night you almost came in bed with your fist.
It's not me, sir.
And you wake up every morning, the bed will be so rough, like you'll be fighting off in your dream. That's the reason why you have F's in your courses, like they are specially made for you.
I have you last semester.
We I pounce on you. Very stupid. Oh, yeah, change that section to ACTV right now. And oh God, the baby wants to have the first born. Stupid boy.